Okay, we're good. Let me get a sip of this coffee here. I know, I learned a new tech, Manu. Yeah, so I got back from a BB tag tournament a little while ago, and I did well. I'm glad to say that I won. But anyway, tonight we're going to be focused on the house in Fata Morgana. We're on the last chapter. And if you haven't seen the previous stream, I do recommend that you focus more on that than this. But I would love to have your company here, obviously. We're about to finish, honestly, one of the best visual novels I've ever read. And it does a lot of good for the medium. I guess the last thing I forgot to mention the previous stream was that now that we're trying to find out the truth of Morgana's past, right? Going further into it and trying to convince her that, in truth, the white-haired girl was her. Now you have three of the main characters. You have Giselle, you have Morgana, and you have Michelle. Sorry, it took a little while to remember that. And each of them have had their chance to be the white-haired girl. So now that we have gone to the final chapter, once that's been established, ideally, that Morgana could also be the white-haired girl, you start to see that kind of transitional spirit, that kind of trinity being established. And it's pretty intriguing how the story sets itself up to be that way, because it convinces you by having logical setups to lead into that multiple times, right? I guess the only question I have as a reader is, will it leave it up in the air at the end, or will it confirm, like, wholeheartedly that in the end, Morgana truly was the white-haired girl? You don't have that kind of transitional role. But even without the white-haired girl, I remind you, or I should remind you, that these characters have lived experiences so similar to one another that you truly can kind of swap them out for each other because of how closely aligned they are in terms of experience. Okay, so now that that's been said, let's move forward. Exactly. Right? And that's the greatest tragedy of this piece, is that despite the fact that they've lived each other's experience, they cannot connect with each other. At least, you know, for the majority of the story. But we're near the end now, and at least the two major characters have, but Morgana has not. I also forgot to mention, but in the last scene prior to this, right? In the scene in which Giselle saves Michelle, if Giselle represents the body, if Michelle represents the body, Giselle the heart, and Morgana the mind, right? It's very fitting that in the CG picture, that between them was Giselle, and opposing was the mind and the heart, right? Hey Manu, what's up? I think I might want to turn the volume just a tad bit down. There we go. Yeah, exactly. I hope I don't have to repeat what I just said, though. That's not a good way to go. Yeah, so body, mind, heart, spirit, if you want to go into that kind of interpretation as well. Okay, so most likely the three men here are related to that, 100%. If that's who I think it is, most likely the sister of the boy in chapter 1, sort of, right? The ancestor, if you want to call it that. But I think we can just say it's the sister of the boy in chapter 1 because they are reconstructions of those characters. So in a strange way, you know how the curse, right? How Morgana has influenced the first 3 chapters' protagonists, like their fate, to move in a certain direction. Now, since we're in Morgana's past, prior to these characters being reconstructed, this is, I guess this is them in their true form. If you understand what I'm trying to say here. I'm thinking this is the nun in the Beast. The nun that runs the chapel, or sorry, church. $100%, that's the Beast. Oh, there we go. Like, maybe even this nun is his fiance in chapter 2. Who knows? Hey Manu, isn't it kind of fitting that I've introduced you to horror stories and now we're reading Fata Morgana, right? So now that you have that kind of background, you can kind of see how to read this story. Hey Mio, how you doing? We still gotta finish Shiki. I feel kind of bad about that. Maybe we could finish tomorrow. And by the way, Manu, are you one of the people who have not seen A Silent Voice? Because if you haven't, I need to actually write about that this coming week. I mean, you can call her the anchor, right? Kind of makes sense. The idea that people complete themselves, right? Not just solo, but together. They form 2 halves of a whole. And then that's the balance. That's an idea that's not too uncommon, actually. Okay. I don't think I'll be doing commentary this time. We focused on writing again. Okay, so there's no narrator for the story. It's like the first few words before we enter the story. And so I wonder how they're going to handle it. Just like put everyone inside? So maybe. So like he's actually involved with the story. Can he influence it? Or is he still just watching? That's something I'm curious about too. Sorry, hang on, give me a second. Yeah, it's like every single chapter has a slightly different presentation in terms of visuals, right? Sometimes there's like a faded image in the background. Sometimes there's no visuals whatsoever. Sometimes there's nothing but portraits. It's a cool decision. I like it. I wonder if like teams of people worked on chapters, but I don't think that's the case. I believe there's only one writer. Yeah. I'm actually pretty excited to stream the Code Geass event. I'm a big fan of Code Geass. I'm not sure if that was obvious, but hey. This She seems a little bit faded in the portrait. I wonder if she's in like spirit form, just like in the CG. At least she kind of looked like that. Yeah, right? So like taking the place of Morgana in his head is now Giselle to remind him of, I guess in this case, his humanity. Fucking, I love the music in this game. It's so wonderful. Right? Like, I played so many visual novels where the music was completely gimped or skimped. Like, people didn't pay attention to how important music can influence a scene. And so, like, the soundtrack of a visual novel ends up becoming, at worst, an annoyance. At like, average, just something that you can kind of, like, drown out. And at best, it's something like this, you know? That was actually one of my critiques consistently with Steins Gate and Steins Gate 0 and Steins Gate Elite, right? It was always the music. Like, there's this wonderful writing, but kind of a drop down in terms of the sound department. Okay, I want to double check what she says here. Let's start from here. Okay, confirmed. I'm surprised you're still awake, Mio. Did you finish the archive? It's all pitch start. Okay, I'm glad that you're here. So it's kind of like she's sharing his headspace, is my guess. Yeah, like that. And isn't that fitting, if you think about it, that if Michelle is to represent the body, that he's physically present here, and I don't know if it's possible, but can he influence the past? Well, we're gonna see, right? But yeah. Honestly, the relationship between like Giselle and Michelle reminds me of the one I'm in. I can't stop smiling. Well, yeah, it's true. Oh man. Oh my god, it's like I'm looking at my Discord chat. Freaking Mio. Oh man. Oh my god, Manu. So on a really random note, as we're passing by this conversation, I was looking up on Twitter because I was curious how people felt about this visual novel. And so many people are singing it praises, just like I am, right? And I'm glad to see that a lot of people have come to love this story. I think the #1 thing people keep mentioning is how well written the characters are. And that takes a lot of effort. I kind of... God, I wish... Has this writer ever, like, gone to a convention or something? Not that I could ask him any questions. Actually, you know, I could maybe tweet him a question. Maybe he'd be down to answer. Yeah, I mean, at that point, like, you start to see the bigger picture, right? And how everything just revolves around each character. And then bam. It's just... It's so impressive how you set that up correctly. He went to AX? Really? Okay, if he ever goes to a convention, I'll seriously consider going. I'm kind of curious, what's a demographic for this visual novel? Because, you know, certain VNs appeal to different audiences more. I'm gonna double check some language here. Let's start from here. Okay. Right. Honestly, I assumed this as well. That they wouldn't be active participants. Oh my god! And the thing is, because they have the knowledge of every single character in the story, or at least in some form, right? They can solve the insecurities of every single character. Because if Morgana is about like shoving your worst history in front of your face, then together these two characters can find a new character arc for the characters to pursue, right? Right here. And if the story has continued its pattern, then the three men's circumstances we kind of already know. Well, we can kind of surmise an idea based on previous stories. Right, and that's a kind of closeness that might not get punished this time, right? Because once again, when characters are on the same level, when they see eye to eye, some type of curse, some type of bad thing happens to them, right? When Michelle sees Giselle and they finally fall in love, unfortunately, that stopped. Why? Because angry mobs come and kill them, right? I don't think I really need to list examples. This is pretty consistent throughout the story if you've been paying attention. And so, up until like, I don't know, the last few chapters, the way to keep yourself safe in this story is to be above someone. right? If you are the lord of the mansion and you keep that distance and you punch down, right? Then you won't be the one who gets hurt. Someone else will. And so that's like transferring your pain to someone else, having someone else bear the cross, right? Do I need to give more examples of this? I'll try. So Lord of the Mansion was supposed to be paralleled with the Lord, right? If you are a god, you are not going to get punished, obviously, right? The people who get punished are below you. Mentioned the Lord, mentioned that. Who else is a good example of this? In terms of like vertical distance. If you are a witch, how about that? If you are a witch, you are not human, right? Sometimes you're considered subhuman, or you're considered above human. In this case, Morgana is considered a character who sees all, right? So she should be in the hierarchy of things, above humans. And so she creates that distance because of she has that power, but also because she doesn't want that closeness with like humanity, right? And so she, I guess in this case, casts a curse on people, and that distance again is maintained. Because again, consistently throughout this visual novel, you get close to someone, you get hurt, right? Whether that's through love, whether that's through a curse, whether that's through your own insecurity, whether that's through your own faults, it all happens over and over again. And it's a very scary outlook to have for a world. And if you were to read this story morally, right? If you didn't have this last chapter or the chapter before it, then the moral of the story would be don't get close to people. You're inevitably going to hurt each other and you'll cause internal suffering, right? There's no answer. But now we're being provided a solution. Not that stories have to have a moral, right? That's not required. But I'm just giving you an example here. Yeah, I'm working through that in my head as well. I see why the author wants to make this connection, but I don't see how logically, if I were in the position of Giselle or Michelle, how would I convince Morgana that? Right? He's confused too. Like, I don't want to do it. Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're in a forest around the mansion? I can't tell. Well, I mean, logically, right? The three keys belong to the three protagonists of each chapter, the first three chapters. And my guess is by convincing them that they understand their circumstances and maybe providing a solution, they'll receive the keys. A key to open up Morgana. Phrasing. Open up the door that locks Morgana. Okay. Yeah, it was probably the bubonic plague. I recall a plague hitting the city, and I think Morgana was alive during the Dark Ages, so I think that fits. God, man, just reading this visual novel makes me so nervous as a writer, because of how much research you would have to do to properly write this story, right? And seeing it executed so well leaves me a little nervous because I don't think I could do that. And I mean, I research stuff for like articles and stuff, but I mean, think about it, right? Let's say you knew nothing about, I don't know, science fiction, and so you would have to research a bunch of science fiction novels or something, as an example, or learn more about science in general. In the case of like Muv-Love, I would have to learn about how to explain this concept to a bunch of people who might not have that kind of background. And in this scenario right here, you have to learn history, right? History, the common ideas present in Gothic horror stories, how to weave a structure to promote a certain understanding of the story, and then twist it, and then do that again, and then twist it, and then do it again, and then finally at the end, give a clearer picture of everything. And so much of that is due to presentation of this visual novel. And that's why I think this thing does so well for what it is. You don't hear voices, but I hear it, right? I mean, I don't know, when you read, when I read a story, I hear characters' voices. That's not uncommon. Yeah, so, I mean, it could be any plague, you're right. I'm going to assume that's the first chapter's character. I mean, his name is Mel. So, yeah. I mean, he even looks like him, so... A? Oh, okay. Oh, even the same music. I think. I'm trying to remember, where did I first hear this song? Oh yeah, that's right, you don't see Cassell. I must look like a moron. Or a crazy person, yeah, exactly. I mean, you could just say, you know what, I made a mistake. But you are rather famous around this area. Like, do you not know that, Mel? I mean, I would run with the conversation, right? And I would lie about that. Okay. Say you bumped your head. Yeah, dude, you gotta ease this conversation somehow. He's definitely on the defensive. Oh my, what are these choices? Get out of here. Alright, let me save. Alright guys, 1 or 2. I was sleeping in a tree or I am God. You guys are shitting me! Alright. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Alright, we got 4 2s. We need first to 5. Anyone else wanna end this? Yeah, alright. I am God. He's looking at me even more like I'm crazy. Oh god. Please! Michelle, that's not how it works! Still has a look on his face, man. doesn't help. Oh my. Okay, understandably, he hasn't been out in the real world that much, right? So I understand why he can't turn this conversation to something like productive. Yeah, we'll go with that. The Saintess. Right, I remember this character. I mean, run of it, man. You are a loony missionary out to preach the word of you are the new god. Just go with it. That's a pretty bad, terrible impression you've made, but, you know, I mean, if it makes this work. And heathen missionaries. Oh boy. Okay, thanks. Out of curiosity, did I even, like, mention that... why do you keep saying I? Whatever. Michelle, did you mention your name? I don't think you did you? Look, I relate to this guy, okay? It all makes sense now. Mio, wow. Hurting my heart here. At least you're not stabbing me. You were scared. I think the entire chat was scared. Is that a sword? What? Wow. Yeah, so she's probably in his head. And also, instead of red text, you have blue, so that's a nice kind of way of doing it. No, right? She wasn't in your head. Right. And that's because of perspective, right? And a narrator can easily influence a story, like how my commentary can influence your perspective on this story. Kind of like how when people have strong impressions of works, if you hear that impression first, it can easily influence your interpretation, right? So, like, for me, when I review a work, I do my very best to kind of detach myself from that at the beginning. What's a good example of that? I'm trying to think of a game or a story or a visual novel or a movie, something like that, where there was such a strong impression that it easily influenced my thoughts as well. I guess Hanabi, a recent example. I didn't bother watching that movie until someone told me that it isn't all that bad. In fact, it's great. And then I gave it a shot. I was like, oh yeah. In fact, in the recent years, I've really been giving things a try that I've never done so before, and just getting out of my comfort zone has introduced me to a lot of things I now really enjoy. Out of curiosity, Michelle, if you close your eyes, can she see anything? I'm going to assume the answer is no, but hey. Nah, that's not a good impression. No, Gazelle. So the church is attached to the mansion. Okay. Right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but he's partnered with 2 other people, one of which could probably kill you. So, like, being a little bit more subtle is probably the smart answer here. I wonder if the Saintess is the nun. I just want to confirm that, but we'll figure it out very soon. Ow, ow! Oh, man, hot coffee all over me. Ugh. Oh wow, this is very much like a church. And I think they led to like a cross, right? Hey Super, thank you for the sub, man. We're on the final chapter of Fata Morgana, and we've managed to go into the past, which is Morgana's main story. And so we have to take knowledge of every single story we've gone to up until this point and read on. Yep, so that's the Sanctus. Okay. Right, yeah. Okay, so confirmed. You were right about that. And then fittingly, I'm not sure if you would call this... I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I'm not sure if this is what you would call the best way of informing the audience of details you might have forgotten, but they do it through the characters, and logically, they are realizing it as well. So, you know, if you didn't catch up on all these details, you got it now again. Okay. Took me a while to just try to understand this. Yeah, that was the first thing I had to ask too. Does she know about Morgana being imprisoned in the tower? Because I feel like if she truly is like she was in the past, well, not in the past, in the future, in chapter 2, how about that? Then she wouldn't agree with that. Yeah, there's that too. I mean that's a better impression than loony, I don't know, proselyte. Can't even pronounce that word right. Okay. Yeah, no kidding, right? What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right, Manu. And you know, that's the impression I had in chapter 2 when she saw that boy in the village. I thought that was the reincarnation of Mel. Mommy's being honest, it's true. at any other time, but not here? Okay, okay, yeah. Actually, could you clarify why? Because you don't know about Morgana in the tower, so why? Oh, wait, she won't tell me anyway. Okay. Oh, get out! Okay, all right, you know, go for it. Exactly, right? It's just also the fact that you're supposed to be not like okay in the light, right? So you can kind of show them that. Maybe that'll work. Although I don't want them to think you're a vampire. Huh. So even she's not aware. So I guess it must be the 3 other characters who are being very adamant about that. Yeah, yeah, okay. Oh, you're gonna put it out there, okay. What? Okay, alright, or maybe we can make this go somewhere? Well, yeah. Right. But maybe we can convince Mel that there's a better way. And we know why he wants to keep this a secret, right? And well, I mean, other than the crime of it, but we know where his focus is. Manu, please. God, in this position, would he believe me? I'm gonna save again, obviously. Alright, guys. Tell him everything or tread carefully. 1 or 2. Honestly, if we can get him to our side right away, this might be good. The thing is how to convince him. Okay, so we got 2 for 1 and 1 for 2. Three for 1. 4 for 1? Anyone else? I'll give it about... Okay, 2 for 2. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, well, close. 4 for 1, 3 for 2. Okay. Yeah, but you know, there's an equal chance that he's just gonna continue on the path anyway. Like, just shake it away. Bring Yuki Masa into this, and suddenly we gotta learn how to speak Japanese very quickly. Sorry, Manu, I don't understand Japanese. Oh, there we go. I mean, it didn't feel comfortable that we made that decision, because he didn't instantly go like, yeah. I mean, how would you get an instant yeah from him, though? Okay, so their trust is very thin. Which, I mean, it makes sense. Okay, well, you know, if the story is as connected as it is, which we know, can we use the past information to influence them? I'm assuming the answer is yes. Does the Lord have a childhood friend? Very possibly. Want to give that a shot? Move from there, run an interpretation. Oh, okay. Wow, that's very clear blood compared to, like, other versions, I suppose. Honestly, because most of this game had choices that didn't really feel like it had a consequence, it's interesting to have it now, but it makes sense. Alright then, here we go. Yeah, that was very clearly a bad end because of the communication style of Michelle and Cassell. And also, like, just wording choice. It was pretty obvious. He's definitely a young kid. Yeah. Okay. How can we convince him why without, like, exposing ourselves? I'm trying to think of that right now. Sure, okay. Okay, there we go, right? We'll run of this. The angel judgment gave me a vision. Is he gonna, like, ask why we were so weird at the beginning? I hope not. Chriselle, thanks for the Twitch, man. You did, yes. You got it. Oh, he has scales too. I was unaware of that. Okay. Wait, is this like underground, that storage area? No, this. What is this place? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I know. It's like we saw the future, and in the future we made a decision that got us killed. But because we have the vision of the angel judgment, we've managed to save ourselves, right?
Bullshit!
Okay? We're not crazy. We've got this. I mean, I was thinking that too, but whatever. We had to be convinced by a vision. Okay. We never actually died. We only saw what was a possible future. What? I think one of these days I'll finally play like the Zero Escape and 999 games. The question's when. And like, can I even provide anything to you guys if I play that game? I don't know. Yeah. I believe the writers for the Zero Escape games, some of them are writers who've done Ever 17. Some of them are ones who've done Danganronpa or have worked on it. Because I remember looking into this and I was really impressed that there's a lot of staff on there that have worked on stories that I care about. Hey, Raven. Yeah, I mean, there's debate over Danganronpa and Phoenix Wright being visual novels. I say whatever. I say they are, right? The hybrids for visual novels do exist. There are strategy fighting game visual novels. What's a good example of that? Baldur's something is an example of that. Baldur's Sky, I think is what it's called. What's another visual novel that has like mixed mechanics in it. Kara no Shoujo is a visual novel, but it's also a horror mystery and has adventure game elements in it. Uta Warumono is a visual novel, but it has strategy game elements in it. So hybrids for this genre, medium do exist. So, you know, just as I'm not too crazy about like the specifics of whether something qualifies as a VN or not. I just want to enjoy a work and hope others appreciate it too. Okay, so quick moment. Let me get some more water, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys? If you can do me an honest favor, though, if you have not retweeted this link, I'd really appreciate it. There's a decent amount of people who want to see the finale to this visual novel, and I hope they can make it in time. I'll be right back fast. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna double check some of the passages here. Hang on. I'll start from here. Okay, right. So the interpretation again that even though the curse of Morgana has reconstructed them to have a life potentially where they have a very bad end. When you first read chapter 1, 2, and 3, you can definitely understand the majority of the problems they encounter are faults of their own as well. And then I just finally realized, so you know how I said consistently that I view this visual novel as if it were a play, right? And I think if this were turned into a play, it would do very well. But the point of which the reason why I mentioned that is because of the staging of things, right? Once again, you have an audience who watches a story and there's a narrator on the side. Characters outside the play are seeing their lives play out in front of them. The way they are positioned doesn't allow them to interact with the play, but the fourth wall breaks every once in a while, in which the narrator kind of addresses the audience, in which case that'll be Michelle, or us if you want to see it that way. Anyway, so now that that's taken down, now that the narrator's out of the picture, now that the curtains have opened up, and we're on this stage ourselves. Give me a moment. I'm trying to remember how I was going to complete this thought. I mean, that's really about it, right? Now that we're on the stage ourselves, we have the actual potential to influence the events ahead of us. Instead of just being onlookers, we are now truly a part of the story. And so now consequence exists, right? Whereas before, we could just be passive observers, watching things fly by our faces, right? And we can't change things. We can only change our interpretation of things, how we feel about certain events, but nothing we do can change the story. Now we are characters in the story. Now this is something that's not predetermined. And so even though this is in the past, it is the present to these characters. And I find that a fascinating evolution of the story structure. I mean, if you think about it, right? It's fitting, because how you fix the story is to allow characters to move forward. But if they're always stuck in the past, how can they move forward? They can't. They're dead. They're stoic. They're unable to live. So that element of the story, I don't know how you could communicate that thematically as well as this visual novel, right? But if you were in a play, I guess what you would do is you would put someone in a seat, and that seat would be occupied only by one person or two people. It would be like actors, eventually somewhere down the line or something. And then that way you can give the idea of now, instead of being passive observers, the audience is actually participating in becoming closer to the story, and that lines in with the idea of empathy, right? I legitimately wonder, God, I feel like the only reason why I'm able to do this is because of you guys. Because I have to read this in expectation that an audience is there to listen to what I have to say. Because my relationship with visual novels have changed a lot over time. It began as something very personal, right? Never mentioned to anyone that I'd read VNs on my own time, or I would only read like really sad stories. And then there came a time when I streamed visual novels, but I thought only people would watch this if I made it like a, what do you call it? If I made it like a show of it. Phoenix Wright, Danganronpa were perfect for that, right? And then suddenly, my relationship with VNs kind of turned sour, right? Ever since I couldn't... I mean, I'm not sure how many of you know this, but I promised Danganronpa 2 for the longest time. But the issue was I was so busy with real life. Like, after I graduated college, I had to take multiple exams to try to get a license to work in my dad's business. But I failed that multiple times. And so to me, in the back of my head, I've always told myself that the only time I can stream Danganronpa 2, right, is when I had succeeded in the thing that I wanted to do. Otherwise, it would feel like me copping out, and I didn't deserve to do so. And there's like a huge expectation with that VN too. And so like, because I treated VNs like as a show of themselves, right? I didn't think of them for their literary merits. And that sounds really strange given my background in literature, but that's just how I approached it back then when I was younger, right? And now, what happened was I completely gave up streaming visual novels for a very long time. And the day Steins Gate 0 came out, I streamed it. No, I didn't stream it. I told myself I can't stream this because I'm too worried that maybe I would ruin my experience. Maybe the audience would make it like worse for me. And so I went back to my roots, right? I played visual novels alone. But as I did that, I kept realizing I wish I could share this with someone, right? I wish someone could appreciate this alongside me, and in doing so, we'd both come out, you know, happier together. That's something I honestly believe, that if you share your passions with other people and you do so successfully, wherever that means, you can become closer as friends or something, right? And so after Steins Gate 0, I gave another chance with Chaos Child, and it was because of the Chaos Child stream that this stream exists, that Muv exists, that other visual novel streams exist. If it weren't for that, then I wouldn't be appreciating the works that I see before me the way I do. and I wouldn't be streaming it for an audience, right? And honestly, I'm so thankful that that chain of events led me to do what I'm doing right now. I know that's kind of a tangent, but like this story kind of invokes that out of me. It's so well crafted that I can't help but share my appreciation for it. And it makes me think a lot about my own life too, and the nature of my own growth as a person, right? And you can get so much from understanding literature. You can see your life as a story in some sense, right? And that can help you analyze your decisions and the events that happen to you. And by having that kind of perspective, a strange kind of like third-person perspective of your own first-person experience, right? You can get some type of distance that allows you to see the overall picture. And that overall picture allows you to better judge the actions you do in the future. And for me, literature, art in general, has been a huge influence in my life. And without it, I would not even be half the person I am today. So I guess in a really huge tangent, but sort of relevant to Fata Morgana, being able to experience these works and to share it with someone else has allowed me to move on in my life and come to finally feel comfortable about aspects of myself. I think that's as much as I can say. But yeah, I mean, if you want to keep it super simple, thank you. Like, seriously, thank you for being here. I don't know, it just makes me happy. I'm glad when people enjoy things, and I'm glad when, you know, people that I really respect do well. And overall, in general, that's what I hope. Is reading a good way to find yourself? I mean, we're talking philosophy here? I think so, yeah. I talked about this before, but reading gives you ways of practicing your thought process, right? And so if you've ever been kind of like confused about aspects of your life, or you want to see like perspectives that are different from yours, then reading really helps with that. It can let you practice ideas and emotional concepts. So if I can give just an example, because I guess I'm sounding kind of vague here. I was always curious about the nature of... I can like end the sentence in multiple ways. I'm trying to think of a work that I can lead you into that makes it really easy to understand what I'm saying. Sure. I was always interested in the nature of communication nuance. And so to better understand that, I would read literature that had a history of being very self-aware of how you can, through words, create actions. I know that sounds super strange, but in communication, in order to break things down and to better understand the effect that words have on people, we call certain words, we categorize things as speech acts. And so when you say something, it can be categorized into an action. So here's an example of that. When I say congratulations, I'm not just saying congratulations, my action is congratulating you, right? When when I change the tone of that, and I change the setting and various other factors, when I say congratulations, and the scenario is you just failed the test, my action isn't congratulating you. My action is being sarcastic, right? I'm belittling you. And so you start to see how by breaking down word choice like that, you can start to read for intentions. Because words are tied to actions. And when you say something, you are actually doing something. And having that knowledge was because I had a background in communication, sure, whatever. But also because I read a lot of books for me to practice the things I studied. And then how about ideas that you don't know are true, right? And you're curious about it. How about something that we cannot like absolutely verify? The qualities of humanity, all right? What are the qualities of humanity? Maybe I can approach the sci-fi genre and see what famous authors say about the important aspects of humanity. Some people will say it's you absolutely have to have a soul, or self-awareness is really important for humanity, or humanity is a floating concept and it cannot be pinpointed, or whatever, right? You can start to like construct your own worldview by taking references from other authors, other creators, see how they see the world. And from that, you start to bounce ideas in your head because you've experienced so many other works. And so that's one way that reading can really help you develop as a person, because you're no longer stuck in your own world, right? You're branching out to see how other people see the world. And from their words, you critically analyze how their thoughts compare to yours. And you're having a conversation, kinda, with someone's work and with yourself. And that's that kind of personal kind of story that happens with you, right? Someone might experience a story in a very different way than you do. And why is that? Because your experiences, your perspective, are different from an individual person, right? So my experience with I don't know, Higurashi. Let's talk Higurashi, why not? My experience with the story Higurashi is very personal to me, because up until that point, I have never encountered a story about adolescence that made sense to me, that held any kind of truth to me, until I saw it from the context of a horror tragedy. And then I finally understood. And even though many stories might be saying the same thing, right? You might see a lot of Romeo and Juliet-esque stories out there. Sometimes it takes just a certain angle for a story to be presented, for something to click in your head, and then you finally get it. Like, I understand why people care about this now. It took me a long time for a lot of genres, or for a lot of like series that I never got. Like, why do people care about this stuff, right? And then I just saw a work that influenced me and made me think, that's why people care. Why do people care about mechs? Why do people care about gigantic robots? Like, I don't know, what the fuck? I don't give a shit. And then suddenly, one day, there's politics in this. There's stories about war. There's aspects and settings that force characters to do things they normally wouldn't. And it's relatable, right? War is not just fiction. War exists in reality. What's your opinion about it? Here are certain stories that have a certain perspective from an author. From this, I can start to construct my own understanding of how I feel about that topic, right? Or, I mean, I don't have to go forward, but you asked me a question, I tried to answer. This is the shadow in the mansion where people's souls are trapped. Okay. I mean, you have that self-critical mindset, and I think it's not a bad thing to have. Obviously, sometimes it can get in the way of things, right? Self-doubt. But having a little bit obviously can help you be more aware of certain things. The question is what the balance is, and I don't honestly know the answer to that because I'm working on it for myself as well. It's like when I write an article and I think, oh my god, I don't think anyone's gonna like this, and then suddenly people comment and go like, yeah, this is the shit. Like, well, thank you. Well fuck. I mean, I'm going to assume you're the artist. You're the artist. You're an artist. There we go. And you can relate to that, right? You know, it took me a long time to understand visuals better because I've been so focused on the written word for so long. To finally get even just like a small percentage of understanding the world my artist friends see has like brought a lot of joy to my life. But yeah, people's experiences obviously affect their perspective. I learned so much by talking to engineers about like how they view art, and it's so fascinating to me. I was talking to GC Yoshi when I was a combo breaker, and how he appreciated certain stories from a technical aspect as a person who works on technology, right? I'm like, wow, I never thought of it that way before. That's so amazing, right? I don't have that perspective because I don't have any investment in his field whatsoever. Other than like I do computer things, yeah, I get that, but it's cool. Like you can learn so much from people, man. Sounds really tough. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I mean we're at a God, man, things have been rough for a lot of people that I know in my life. And the best thing I can say is that if you can, try to surround yourself with people that make you happy. It's hard to be alone, man. I guess maybe not the best advice, but like everyone has their own way of getting through life, and I forgot who told me this, but I think it was a teacher in my high school that said it wasn't these exact words, but something like tragedy affects people in different ways, and living through life, you're undoubtedly going to have hard times. And because people approach things differently, you shouldn't put a timer above your head. One person might get past something in a week, and another might take months, or maybe even years. But as long as you do your best to come to terms with things in your own way, and you give yourself the appropriate amount of time that you feel is right for you, then you will learn from life more than it takes from you. That's a strange way to put it. And I'm trying to remember who told me that. In eternity? I mean, we're human, so eternity doesn't exactly exist for us. Unless when we die, we get sent back into the world as ourselves again. Yeah, but you know, there's different mindsets about I guess how reincarnation works, if you want to talk about that. The idea that life is suffering would be something like, I don't know, Buddhism, right? So when you die, you get reincarnated based on, I guess, the things you've done in life, and karma, right? And if you're not like promoting suffering in the life that you lived, when you die, you will be reincarnated into a better form. But however, because life is suffering, the way to escape it is to get a better understanding of the nature of life, and that is like nirvana as an example. So you can escape the cycle of reincarnation and reach a height of understanding like Buddha. I know that's like very a poor summary of it, but don't worry, Victor. Self-awareness will happen. Even the robots in settings where they live to die and get reborn, they don't have like a future that's set in stone from them. Life is rough. I don't know, man. Okay, let me focus on the story again. I know most of you are here for that, but thank you for, you know, entertaining that segue. No problem, man. It's been a long time since we talked. Okay, the game plan. We have a certain amount of knowledge, and don't worry, there is a way, is essentially what Giselle is saying here. She's being very supportive. Right, here we go. She's contextualizing the plan. Pretty much everyone is doing this for someone else, and if we can understand that, what's driving them, then we can, you know, get the keys to their hearts. If you want to read into that, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Okay, so with the game plan contextualized, we're gonna focus on the first character. I'm dumbing this down, just keeping it super simple. I mean, the Lord might have a wife. He did during the third story. But there's also, like, his past he's trying to run away from. His criminal family, right? And he has a childhood friend as well. So there's a lot of things that could work for him. True. Also, maybe like Morgana contracted the disease, and then by drinking her blood, you all got sick. That's completely possible as well. So what I'm gonna do is for every single decision, I want us to decide together. Because, you know, this is the story that we've shared. Exactly. Then how could we convince them without making the church look bad? Specifically, like all the characters involved with this, right? They're not evil people. Although they've done some pretty terrible things. I would say they're very desperate, though. That makes sense to me. Okay, you are too believing. No worries, yeah. Wait, really? Okay. So, the story right now, at least what she thinks it is that we're friends with Mel, and you're asking about her sister. Friends, okay, fine. At the cottage? Okay. Wait, you stay at the cottage? What? Okay.
Com boca fechada, ainda tô buscando o pinch of me interior de paz nossas pouco e pouco a massa de cair. Vamos, vamos, já
Oh, this is always gonna be so tough though, because we're not really friends, we're just strangers, right? Trying to figure out how to get them to trust Michelle is gonna be tough. Oh wow, really? Okay, so You know, I didn't think about this before, but I wonder if the Saint, the Saint's character arc is supposed to be... I'm almost certain... You know, it makes more sense that way. Anyway, I was thinking the Saint's character arc is meant to... God, this sounds kind of stupid, but it's so obvious. It's supposed to parallel Morgana's, right? Because Morgana starts as a Saint, and then she has a negative character arc where she becomes a witch. There was something a little bit more nuanced to this, so give me a second. What was it again? I don't think this is going to happen because we're near the end already, and adding too much new detail and like new developments might be a little bit rough. We're trying to see the resolution of things now, right? I don't think it would make much sense for Morgana to have now a positive character arc, and then the nun has a negative one. That doesn't make any sense given the thematic qualities of the story. She seems okay. I mean, I know she's sick, but you're outside the cottage. First, you're a stranger. Second, she's a little girl. So there's this kind of thing that you gotta, you know, deal with first. You should have started with something like, hey, I'm Mel's friend. The thing is, if you say you're Mel's friend, she's not gonna believe it. She has never seen you. How does this work? Like, well, one of the things that I have the most, like, trouble with in communication is knowing how to speak to strangers, because that's just so weird to me. Like, I've never figured that out in an easy way other than to be, like, proper and, like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Giselle's worried, too. Oh my god. No, Michelle, stop. Oh my god, like, we've had, like, the worst impression so far. You're a genius! Oh no! I'm a friend of Mel's. Okay, alright, how are we gonna prove this in a non-awkward way? No? I know she's young, but there's no way anyone's gonna accept that. Exactly! What is he, like 30? Prove it. How? I can do that. Oh my god, is this a multiple choice question? What does Mel like? Okay, I think I know the answer to this already. At least the answers she wants to hear. Okay, here we go. Alright, guys. I said I'd choose anything, you guys decide together. Please don't fuck up. Let's actually try to answer correctly, okay? 1, 2, or 3. We got 1 for 2. 2, 2, 2. Alright. 2. Oh, good. Nelly. Your brother loves you the most. And I actually think that's true anyway. What kind of person is my Mel? Guys, please. Please say 1. Oh my. Okay. 3, 3, 3, 3. What? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, good, good. 1, 1 first. Okay. I don't think I can have an interpretation of this guy here. I just have to answer according to what you want. Exactly, Michelle gets it too. You didn't have to say that though.